And, you know, just full circle, four black people killed. One thought, you know, some keys or a phone was a gun. Another hunted someone and shot him in the back going into his home with AirPods in. Another, you know, was shot instantaneously when the door opened. You know, he had a vape. And so, again, like, we're criminalizing things that are not criminal to the extent that the force is used. And I think that's the whole point of training. It's the point of de-escalation, cultural training, you know, all these things. And there's some patterns that are emerging in these cases across the board that we'll point out in our civil cases and see to point out to you all. But our goal is to stop those patterns. Like, we don't like being here. I got other cases I could be working on that, you know, my goal is that we're not doing this work anymore. Like, we don't want to do civil rights work, despite what some folks may try to say about trying to get paid off these cases. I guess he walked out, but, you know, no, it's not about that. We're doing what has to be done because other folks will step up and have the same courage to speak to what's wrong.
Who were you just looking for?
Brian Steele.
Brian Steele, President of Capital City Lodge 9, Fraternal Order Police, PRIANSTEEL. I'm going to start with a couple prepared remarks. I will put out a written statement in the next 10 minutes, and then we'll just questions and answers. So you heard me say this before. Justice is a process. Justice is not an outcome. Justice was served today. This verdict reaffirms what we have been saying from day one. This incident was tragic, but it was preventable. Let me make that clear. It is tragic, but it was preventable. Had Miss Young followed officers' instructions, had she would have obeyed the commands, she likely would not have escalated this situation. Miss Young was loved. There is no doubt about that. I do not think Miss Young was a bad person. I think she was a 21-year-old woman who made a terrible, terrible mistake. That mistake started when she chose to shoplift. It escalated when she ignored the store security and when she ignored the officer's commands and struck the officer with a car. Any civil rights attorney in this town, I absolutely commend you. I am always here to talk. 6800 Schrock Hill Court, there's a giant sign that says Fraternal Order Police Brian Steele. I'm easy to find. Just Google me. I'll sit down and have a conversation with anybody. What upsets me as a peace officer is the reality. About 90% of our victims in this town, roughly, are of color. Roughly 75% of the known suspects in violent crimes in this town are of color. When one of them are shot, I don't hear anything, right? When the government shoots you, when the police shoot you, when Kroger's involved, it's almost like vultures, right? Looking for deep pockets, looking to sue. I don't care about a fancy suit, a sharp vernacular. I serve the people of Columbus, and I will have a conversation with anybody who wants to help us serve the people of Columbus.
We need to talk about how we police in this country. And I'm not willing to give any level of grace to what our folks are going through because there's communities of color that can't just live, that just can't exist. And shoplifting in a Kroger should not mean a death sentence. A pregnant woman in a car should not be seen as a threat. That's just not acceptable.
The first verdict is we, the jury, upon our oaths and law and evidence in this case, find the defendant not guilty of felonious assault as charged in count 1 of the indictment signed this 21st day of November 2025 by each and every juror. Second verdict, we, the jury, upon our oaths and law and evidence in this case, find the defendant not guilty of felonious assault as charged in count 2 of the indictment signed this 21st day of November 2025 by each and every juror. Third verdict, we, the jury, upon our oaths and law and evidence in this case, find the defendant not guilty of murder as charged in count 3 of the indictment signed this 21st day of November 2025 by each and every juror. Fourth verdict, we, the jury, upon our oaths and law and evidence in this case, find the defendant not guilty of murder as charged in count 4 of the indictment signed this 21st day of November 2025 by each and every juror. Fifth verdict, we, the jury, upon our oaths and law and evidence in this case, find the defendant not guilty of involuntary manslaughter as charged in count 5. Sixth verdict, we, the jury, upon our oaths and law and evidence in this case, find the defendant not guilty of involuntary manslaughter as charged in count 6 of the indictment. Do you want the jury pooled? Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the community in court, Thank you so much for doing your civic duty.
All right.
You're all free from admonitions and instructions. Everyone could have a seat. Mr. Grubb, Mr. Grubb, you're.
It's not right. You walk away crazy.